Hello everyone, and welcome back to Tiffany D Writing Journey. As you can see, I am in yet again another location in our home. My husband and I, we are actually doing some funny comedy type YouTube videos together, so we are using the setup quite a bit. So we decided to set up a little studio area in our guest bedroom, and I thought I'd use it for my author tube videos as well. It only makes sense, all the equipment's here and everything already. I did attempt to do a little poster here for this video. Granted, it's not the greatest poster. I do love doing crafts, I do love painting and things like that. Well, attempting to paint and do crafts. We do have other plans for the future on how to spice up this back wall here, and we'll see how that goes. I do apologize for not posting a video on Thursday. We all have some bad days and stuff here and there, and having trouble finding time to actually write or to do videos and blogs and stuff like that, and it's just been one of those weeks. As far as I go, I'm not writing for a living quite yet, and many of you out there I'm sure can understand if you do have a day job that you're doing on top of trying to do your author stuff. It can be hard to balance that time, but I do plan to try and keep up with posting every Thursday. Information for both the previous week's Wednesday blog and Saturday blog before that. As I said before, I do plan to condense those two kind of into a little extra content in these videos. That's Tiffany's writing journey through WordPress. That link will also be in the description of this video in case you're interested in checking that out in the future as well. I do want to touch on talking about a subject that is very important to me, something my husband and I are very passionate about, and that is Alzheimer's dementia awareness. It is actually Alzheimer's Dementia Awareness Month right now. It is something that directly affects both my husband and I. We've had many family members who have gone through it. We also are caring for someone who currently has dementia, someone we're very close to. So it is something that we do like to bring awareness to. If you are interested in learning more about this topic, you can check out alz.org. I will put the link in the description of this video as well. They will give you extra information on the subject, give you resources if you know someone who's going through it, and resources to help you if you are caring for someone with Alzheimer's or dementia. So they're a wonderful website to check out. They also have a place for donations. If you would be willing to, I'd really appreciate it if you can go and give just a small donation to them. Whatever you're able to would be wonderful, because one of the things that it does, among many other things, finding a cure in the future for both Alzheimer's and dementia. So thank you if you do go to take a look at that. I'd really appreciate it. So the rest of this video, I will of course be talking about the 2 blog posts that I did, and about the timeline that I said that I wanted to touch on a little bit. That's a past blog post I did a while ago. I do have a timeline printed out here, so I will be doing that as the last subject for the video. Now, one of the posts I did called What's the Forecast? Okay, I touched on subjects that had to do with scenes a little bit, with setting the scene. I have done posts like that, setting the scene via what they see, smell, feel, and what you hear. And that's what I'm talking about as far as forecast goes, because you are trying to set the scene. So weather is a huge part of our life. Everyone's life, it's a huge part. It determines what you do on a day-to-day basis. Are you going to go to the beach today? Are you gonna have to shovel 10 feet of snow? You know, it determines so much throughout your day. So of course it would determine your characters' lives as well. How does it affect them? Is it raining where they're at? Is it not raining? There are 4 different seasons. As we all know, spring, summer, fall, and winter. In those seasons, they all have different sights, different smells, different sounds. They make you feel a certain way. Some people are more partial to fall. Some people are more partial to spring or summer. It's very rare, but I've heard of people actually liking winter because they like to see the snow, and that's understandable. So how does it make you feel, and how do you think it would make your character feel based on who they are personality-wise? how would it make them feel? What are they gonna see? Okay, are they going to see rain sloshing up from tires and stuff? Well, it's just a downpour outside and it's just splashing up, and they're driving behind a car and they're getting splashed on the windshield from the truck in front of them. How does that inhibit their day to day and what they're going to do? Or do they see a beautiful, it's hard to say it, but a beautiful snowfall? If you are from northern United States, typically snow is not something that you get that excited about, but some people are. Some people love it. And that does affect their day-to-day. It affects their mood. It affects our mood. If it's a rainy day instead of a sunny day, we feel a different way than we would on a sunny day, you know? When you're talking about your characters, you really have to incorporate as much of that in there as you can. Just keep that in mind as far as feeling. If they're laying on the ground, they feel the grass underneath them and they're feeling the sun warm their face on the side or something like that. Everything you describe in your book is going to tell something about your character. What season do they feel for the most? What do they love the most? If they love the summer and they enjoy it and there's more activities that they can do, make sure you put a little bit of that in there. It does give the reader something to relate to and something to understand more about your characters and who they are as a person. There is more on that topic in my blog if you're interested. I do go in quite a bit of detail on, I even give some examples on how to write different sounds, smells, feels, all of that in there as well. I didn't touch on the sounds too much, but I mean, if you're listening certain seasons, it's going to sound different depending on where you live, but each season does have different sounds, so it's going to be different depending on where you're at. Like where we are, you'll hear more birds and stuff chirping in the spring, of course, frogs in the summertime, you know, stuff like that. So you will hear different things. So make sure you incorporate different things like that. Now we are also going to talk about writer's block. That was Wednesday's post, and it is a very real topic. There are some people who do not really see writer's block as a legit thing or an actual thing that happens to a lot of writers, but it does. And it is something that you can admit sometimes, even if it's just like partial writer's block, it is something that stops you from trying to put that creative thought together in your head. Sometimes you have so much going on in your life that you're trying to piece something together, and it's very difficult to do, and it's a very real thing. Sometimes you don't think of something quite right away that you want to write down, and that's okay. I mean, I know a lot of writers will talk about how writer's block is such a bad thing, but it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes it's just your body, your brain's way of telling you, take a second, take a breath, go do something else. Go spend time with your family. Go have some fun. Go for a walk. Go read another book that could inspire you. Go do something to take your mind off of your writing for a little bit of time and then go back at it. I bet that you will find inspiration somewhere else too. You don't have to sit in front of that computer screen for 5 hours with not a word on that screen at all and still have trouble coming up with anything. Take a break, go do something else, take your mind off of it, and then come back to it. You never know, you can find inspiration somewhere else in life to help you with your writing. That's the great thing about being writers. We get inspiration from books we read, from people we're around, from sights, smells, weather. We get inspiration from all kinds of things. So put yourself out there into the weather or watch a movie or something just to take your mind off of it for a little bit. And I bet you that you will find that inspiration that you're looking for to help break up that writer's block. If you want more information on that subject, I actually did have writer's block when I wrote that post. So it may be a little bit entertaining as well. And then I did want to talk about the timeline a little bit. I did a blog post a little while ago talking about timing. Okay, timing was kind of an issue with my writing. I wrote my novel and then I started noticing, it was a rough draft of course, and I edited it a couple times, just a little bit here and there, and then I started noticing that my timeline was a little messed up. My days, my months, my weeks they were just a little mixed up. So I'm like, okay, how can I improve this? How can I make this better? What can I come up with to keep better track of it? And that's when I came up with this. Now, I did an Excel worksheet for this. I'm not sure if you can see it very well on there. What I do is at the top of here, of course I put timeline, but I would put the title in front of it. So whatever the title of your novel is, and then timeline. And then I have it labeled over here what page of the timeline it is, because that's very important for you to keep each page in order. And then I do have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday up here, of course. Each day of the week is very important to have. And then I also have morning, afternoon, and night. So I did break it up into those 3 sections as well. And if I'm starting a new month, I will put on here, put on Monday, if that's when the new month starts, or Tuesday or whatever, and I will put that it's starting this month or starting that month or whatever. Or if I'm skipping, because sometimes you're going to skip a certain amount of time, okay? You could skip a month or 2, all right? So I do make sure I put on here, this is 2 months later from the last page or something like that. That way I know where I'm at with this. I know how many weeks have passed, I know how many days have passed, and I know exactly where I'm at. And I only put quick topics in here. Okay, so on Mondays I'll put, let's say a bunch of events happened, but there are like 3 main events that happened. I will make sure that I do it in shorthand, just a short description of what happened through the day. If it's 3 things that happened in the morning, 3 things that happen in the afternoon and at night, or if it's just 1 thing and I don't even fill this whole block up, I make sure I put those details in there that I need to know to keep track of for my timeline. My current novel, I actually have, I believe, 20 pages of a timeline. So there's quite a bit of information that I put on there, and quite a bit that I try and stick to, because it's just a rough thing just to help you as an author, as a writer, to keep track of where you are. And it really does help. I've seen many times in different novels that I've read, newer authors and stuff, where the timeline's a little mixed up. And that's something that I am very particular on. I don't want to mess up the timeline in any way. So I want to make sure that it is as smooth of a transition to each month, each week, each day, and each time in the day as I can. So it is something really useful for me. So if you are interested in doing something like this, it could really help you. I may post a picture somewhere in here. That way you can get a closer look at it. But that is what I have to say about timelines. If you have any other questions about timelines or anything like that, definitely take a look at my blog or leave a comment. That's perfectly fine as well. In my blog, I do go into a little bit more detail on the subject, but I just wanted to show you the Excel worksheet that I decided to use to make it easier on myself. Also, just to let you know, the link to my Facebook page and my blog will also be in the description, as well as the alzheimers.org website there. Thank you so much for watching, and also for your support. Everyone who's following me on my Facebook page, my blog, and on here, I appreciate your support very much. And until next time, just keep writing.